Hello, everybody. I'm Nicholas.
And I'm Lindsay.
And you're listening to Too Bad Pagans Podcast! Episode 8, I believe.
Is it episode 8? I have no idea what you said just now. I'm like, what? Episode 8? Episode 8. That sounds right. Right around there.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
So that means we've been doing it for like 8 months now.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird.
Awesome.
I know. Sorry, guys. This podcast is so late in the month.
Well, it's the next month, so technically we're behind, aren't we? Oh, no.
Oh, no, we're still...
Well, by the time they hear this, it'll be the next month.
Probably. It will be probably June.
Yeah.
However, we're recording it in May, so that counts.
It's Nick's fault.
I've had to close at work for like the last, 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And when I'm not working, I have other stuff going on.
Because he had his birthday, so...
Well, I wasn't going to bring that up, but... Yeah, I was kind of doing other stuff, and then I had a funeral that I was out of state for, and up with family, and I'm just like, sorry, Lindsay, the last day of the month is the only one I can do.
So we're like trying to cram everything into one day. We're doing the podcast, we're going to see a movie, and all that stuff.
Doing birthday and all sorts of stuff. Good times. I'm excited. It's been a great day so far.
Good.
Yay!
Good.
Hooray!
And we're also, just for the record, it probably won't interest most of you, but we are going to be starting a second podcast. Mm-hmm. We don't have a name for it. We don't have anything. We just literally thought of it recently. We're going to be talking about writing, because we always talk about writing in this podcast, which is supposed to be a pagan podcast.
And it seems kind of like a jip to most, not jip. It seems kind of weird.
Right. And for a while I think that was okay, but then it just occurred to me, I'm like, why don't we just have a separate podcast just for writing, and then people can choose which they prefer to listen to.
Yeah.
So we're going to be recording the introductory episode for that today, and we don't know when that's going to be up because, like I said, we have no name for it. We don't have anything.
Yeah.
So just letting you guys know. I mean, you'll be able to check that out, links, all that stuff when that is available.
Yeah.
I'll be updating you on my book progress, but I won't be giving you as much detail as before.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we're just like, why don't we just talk about this somewhere else so that we can talk more about paganism when we're with you guys?
Which might turn out that the podcast is just shorter now.
Yeah, that half an hour where we talk about books and writing.
Suddenly gone. We can't
Suddenly
fill
gone. Whoops.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Next thing on the list is we talk about life usually at this point.
Yes.
Because we did the greeting.
Yes.
Moving it along here.
Moving it along.
Okay, life. Well, do you want to go first? They already know you had a birthday.
I had a birthday.
How'd your birthday go?
Happy
birthday. Belated birthday.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It was a good birthday. Very chill. I had fun. I went out and had steak for free, so that was nice.
Yeah. Free steak.
Free steak.
That sounds good.
Yeah. And had a bit to drink. That was nice. Because I generally don't indulge. I mean, I'm kind of drinking at the moment, but I generally don't.
I generally don't indulge, and I'm raising my eyebrow at him really, Nick? Really? Is that how we're going to play this?
In the middle of the day, drinking?
Oh, yeah. He will totally be that person who wakes up and has a drink right away. Someday. It will happen. You watch.
Maybe when I don't have to work. But I was like, I don't have to do anything today. I don't have to drive anywhere. I don't have to be anywhere. I'm just going to have something to drink and enjoy myself.
There you go.
So I did.
And what are you drinking now?
I am drinking a birthday present from Lindsay.
Yes, you are.
It's a blueberry moonshine, and I stuck some pineapple in it and some ice, and it's delicious.
Yay. That's exciting.
It is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. I got to hang out with my family this month, which was exciting because I don't get to see them very often, and I was very happy.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It was nice. We got to play board games for 2 days straight, and I love playing
You got your family to play board games?
My family loves playing board games.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Specifically, my next brother up from me and his wife, they love playing board games. So, I got there early Saturday morning of Memorial Day weekend, and the first thing we did, we were like, hey, hugs, and then we started playing a board game.
What kind of games do you play? Do you play the really advanced ones that you and I have played before, or more Sorry and Life and stuff?
Not like those. Mm-hmm. They're more like the kinds that we've played before.
The more in-depth games that no one else has heard of unless they already played the in-depth board games.
Yes, pretty much. So we were playing Spectre Ops and Lords of Waterdeep, and a really fun game called Love Letter, and Just lots of fun, quick games and some in-depth games, and I'm trying to remember what else. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I played board games for like 2 days straight. It was so much fun.
It sounds like a good way to spend your birthday.
It was, yeah. So.
Yay.
Good times. How's your month?
Not as exciting.
Yeah?
When did I go on my trip? Did I go on my trip before the last podcast, or
it was
after? Oh, okay, so I can talk about that.
You can talk about that.
I did go on a trip, and, I'll probably expand on that a little bit more in the podcast a little bit later.
Yeah,
because of our topic of today's episode.
Great listener mail, so we can talk about it then.
But I did go on a trip. It was like a solo trip all by myself, so that was an interesting experience. And it's been a lot of working. I'm getting more hours than normal, which kind of sucks. But, I went to a concert, too.
You did?
I'm, like, gradually remembering things. Once it happens, I forget about it.
Yeah. Once you put it on the vlog and get it out there, it's like...
Then my brain's like, we don't need to hold on to it anymore. Let's just erase that to make room for more books. So, yeah, I went to a concert, A Hailstorm and the Pretty Reckless, and it was epic and amazing, and... It was just... I'm actually wearing the clothing that I bought at the concert today.
She looks pretty awesome. She's got this, like, rocket ship
I got a rocket ship going.
Yeah.
Which is, a great thing to hear.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So that was fun. And, geez, it sounds like I have such an interesting life. I went on a trip, and then I went to a concert.
What do you do?
It's all right.
You just don't think...
It has spurts of interesting moments, but a whole lot of...
The secret is just talking about the interesting moments.
And you realize how hard that is when you have to make a vlog every single day about how interesting, air quotes, your life is.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to do a daily vlog because people will just see that I just like...
Yeah, I have lots of days like that where I'm like, I feel like I say hello while I'm not walking my dog, and then nothing happens all day long, and then I say goodbye, and I'm like, this is the worst vlog ever.
I just did some writing today and watched TV.
Mm-hmm. Basically. And, like, I'll try to come up with, like, ways to film things and make it interesting. Like, well, I'll just film myself making my dinner. Or I'll film myself typing on the computer. But how many times can I do that before someone calls me on my BS? I'm, like, just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
So there, yeah. Those two big things. And then aside from that, I think mostly just... waiting for the Beast to get finished.
Yay! How's that coming along?
Slow. Like, I'm done with it, and it's just like I sent it to the formatter, and I didn't like the images, so then I got my cover designer to work on the images, but then I caught mistakes, so she has to fix them and redo them, and was supposed to have been done this month, but then that didn't happen. And now it's looking like it'll be June. And I'd like to say it'll definitely be June because I can't possibly imagine that there would be any other thing that would stop it.
Yeah.
But then I've said that so many times.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it will be June. I'm just trying not to focus on the fact that it's taking longer than I expect, and just try to focus on finishing the beauty. And I just passed 30,000 words.
Oh, you're catching up to me.
I am catching up to you.
Oh, darn it all.
So that's coming along very, very nicely. Yeah, that's basically my life so far.
I have to finish up before NaNoWriMo this year.
Yeah, because isn't that the book you worked on last, NaNoWriMo?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you keep saying, like, well, I'm ahead of you. You kind of, you have 30,000 words, and I got 25. And you just said I caught up to you. I'm like, well, but I finished a whole other book.
Yeah.
So technically, I'm like a book and 30,000 ahead of you.
Yes. Details.
Details.
Unimportant.
Oh, right, because we're not supposed to talk about writing. I was just going to ask you about your new idea for your book, but we can't talk about that here.
Oh, we could talk about it. It was a little interesting.
Well, okay, but you're going to have to repeat it all on the other podcast.
That's fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
I don't know. It was just a weird experience. I had someone I'm not going to go into the full story, but I had someone at work who I think was a little bit crazy ask me to order some product in for him off a list. And I couldn't read anything that was on the list. And I was getting a really weird vibe from him. And, like, I couldn't read any of it. And it was just the weirdest thing ever. So I was like, oh, what if this happened in my book? And, like, because the main character in my book is a bookseller. And I'd done some reworking and decided I could tell the story a bit different. And this idea really fits into this, like, segmented idea I had of my book. I was like, oh, this is This is perfect. This is euphoric.
Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is.
You're becoming like a legit writer when you start things happen in real life and you're like, how can I make this a book?
Yeah. It's like,
how can I turn this one little scene into a story? How can it happen?
Well, I just couldn't stop thinking about it because it was just bizarre, and I was like, it wasn't even like the two ideas hadn't even combined in my head until one morning when I was waking up, and I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Really
awesome.
Aka awesome.
And, oh god. Really? He can't stop. We're going to see Pitch Perfect tonight. Did we say that? I don't know if we did. I don't think we did. We're going to see Pitch Perfect tonight. Pitch Perfect 2.
Yeah.
It's him, me, and my sister. And this, ever since yesterday, like, him and my sister, they keep referencing Pitch Perfect by saying things like, excuse me?
Excuse me?
My sister and I had this whole Facebook conversation that was like literally like references and quotes from the movie.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was amazing. I'm like, I need to take a picture of this and share it on Facebook so people can actually see it.
Yes. It was amazing.
Okay, so homework.
Yes.
We did homework. We were supposed to do homework.
We were supposed to do homework.
Yes. And the homework was to do something for, what was it, Beltane?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what was the last holiday?
That was a month ago. I don't remember.
Yes, the homework in the last podcast was for everybody to do something on Beltane. And then if you guys wanted to, you guys could message us and let us know what you had done so we could share it here, that sort of thing. Otherwise, you and I would just kind of share what we did because this was so that, we're walking the walk, we're not just talking it.
Yeah.
We're actually doing something about it.
Yeah.
So, would you like to share what you did first? I feel like it's going to show up what I did, but
I don't know about that. It's going to make me sound like a huge lush, actually.
Go ahead.
Because on the day, I was like, I'm going to have some wine. So I had a little bit of wine because I was, trying to think about the day, trying to relax. Because I've been having this weird anxiety thing recently.
Ugh.
I know.
It must be in the air.
Must be.
Yeah, because I've been feeling the same way.
Yeah.
Like feeling really stressed out about things.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of witnessed my breakdown a little bit.
Yeah. It's kind of epic.
It was kind of epic.
I was like, Lindsay just cracked.
And you were, for like 2 days afterwards, you're like, how you doing? Are you okay?
Are you okay?
You feeling better?
You feeling better?
Even Lisa, I was at work. Lisa's our boss. I was at work yesterday. She comes back and she goes, hi, Lindsay, how are you? And I started laughing. I'm like, are you being extra delicate with me or something? And she just kind of, yeah.
Aww.
I'm like, I'm fine. Just got a little overwhelmed.
Just a little.
Too much work, and then I had to try on bridesmaid dresses, which is so unfun.
Yeah.
And that was just
pain.
That was like the tipping point. I'm like, I can't do it anymore.
Life, I just can't.
Yeah, I'm just gonna quit. I need to go on another trip.
Yeah, get away from all you guys.
That's immediately what I started thinking too. I'm like, I need to go on a trip and soon.
Yeah. You did it once, and now you're like, I'm gone.
Go. Every time I get stressed, I'm just gonna peace out.
When I'm gone.
You're gonna miss me.
When I'm gone.
Mm-hmm. So anyway.
So I had a bit of wine to relax.
Okay.
And I think I had a little bit more than I thought I did because I'm usually not very much of a lightweight, and it kind of hit me. But I was like, I need to do it for the podcast. Not really.
I need to do it for the podcast.
Lindsay and
I'm really shit-faced right now. But I gotta do this for the podcast.
I gotta do it. Not really. I wasn't even shit-faced. I was just like nicely relaxed.
In my head, you were shit-faced. Because that's funnier.
Okay. But like halfway through, I think I got a little bit more...
Sober?
No, it was worse. I was like...
It got worse.
It got worse. All of a sudden, it like hit me halfway through. And I don't know if it was like a spiritual thing that happened or... It was just this really wonderfully serene feeling.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what all drunks feel, though, at some point.
Maybe. But it was like that nice, pleasant, serene, calm... Like... Maybe it wasn't even drunk. Maybe it was... I know I wasn't drunk. Maybe it wasn't like... as much the alcohol as much as it was just a state of mind.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, so I had decided I had just moved to the new apartment, so I was like, I need to smudge the apartment and have a small ritual for that. So that's what I did. I had gotten some sage and really spent, it was like an hour cleansing my apartment.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some pretty epic smudging.
Yeah. Well, I was like,
mine's done in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I don't know. I just wanted to take the time and, I don't know. I just was really appreciating the feeling and the moment that I was in, the moment in time.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was nice. Except when, like, the fire alarm started going off.
Really?
Yeah.
From your smudging?
Yeah, from all the smoke.
Oh my goodness.
Because it was like a cloud in here. It was.
See, and that's why I never smudge, because I'm always afraid that I'm going to set off my alarms and then freak my dad out. I'm always worried about that.
It was amazing.
And then have to explain.
Yeah.
How do I explain that?
Yeah, and it was like 1 or 2 in the morning. It was amazing.
Which is always when I want to do any type of working.
Yeah.
It's always at night when everybody else is asleep. And I'm like, well, if I burn this, it might set off some alarms.
Pretty much. And this is kind of, I don't know, what I did, and I really don't advocate its use because it's really not safe, is I just put a quick bag over the fire alarm and then remember to take it down after I'm done. Because I have just stupid smoke alarms in my apartment, and they're really extra sensitive. It doesn't matter if I'm cooking or doing magical work or what, but they're really extra sensitive.
Well, technically that's better than what you had in the last apartment.
They were the same way in the last apartment.
But I thought your last apartment building didn't have any fire alarms. That's what they were saying on the news.
It did. They just didn't, they weren't centrally connected.
Oh.
So they would only go off if smoke was, like, nearby. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And smoke didn't get nearby until fire was nearby.
Right, until you were already on fire.
Yeah. So, it's pretty much the same setup in this apartment.
Oh, okay.
But, anyway. So, I usually just put a bag over them. Because it doesn't matter if I'm roasting coffee or cooking or what. But they just trigger. So, that is my system. And then as soon as I'm doing whatever it was, and I make sure the apartment is ventilated, I take them off. Again, I do not advocate doing this.
You're just putting a tip out there, just in case.
Just in case, but I do not advocate it.
Disclosure.
But there are some other tips on how to deal with pesky fire alarms. Because I was, like, really smudging up the apartment. It was amazing.
It was amazing.
Like, I had turned off all the lights, and I had a candle. I think it's this one, actually. That I was walking around with in one hand, and I had the smudge sitting on a little censer that I have, a little incense bowl, and that in the other hand, you know, just walking around my apartment. I almost looked like a stained glass window, you know, where there's one person holding one thing and then another thing, like the alchemic.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of cool. It was really kind of peaceful and nice.
Smudging is always nice.
Oh, I love smudging.
I guess that makes kind of sense considering what you're doing. I mean, you're cleansing the space of all negativity, evil spirits, and whatnot, bad energies. So it makes sense that you would feel a lightening of spirit, that you would feel that things are gone, so that makes room for the good stuff.
Yeah.
It does make sense.
It does.
Plus, I think, at least in my case, the first any type of witchcraft I ever did was smudging. So, like, I associate magic and witchcraft and everything wonderful with that smell.
Yeah. Which is such a different smell. I'd never smelled it before I started smudging things.
Yeah, me too. It's a great smell.
It is. I've been burning incense, like, all day in my apartment, and Lindsay walked in and she's like, oh.
Yeah. It's true. I was like, oh, it smells great in here. Association,
It's like magic.
So, did you do anything else? Or?
I did a bit of prayer after that.
Okay.
I mean, I know that always sounds awkward when I'm saying it.
I know what you mean.
But, because
it's not like you're saying you prayed, like, to Jesus or anything, but you're just
sat.
Because prayer is kind of universal.
Yeah, and meditated and just let my spirit out a bit. And as the smudge was still smoldering, because there was, you know, I don't bother. I just get these small ones and then I use it up in one go.
Oh, I get the whole bundle. And I burn the edges and walk around wafting it and saying things. And
that's maybe why I take so long doing it, because I wait for the whole bundle to burn.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I just had that as my incense because I usually use a charcoal incense like that on my censer. And I had some candles, and I was just sitting there in front of my makeshift altar, which is going to be my actual altar. It was just, last month was all kinds of disorganized.
Yeah.
So I was just
I understand.
Yeah, I was just sort of sitting there, and I'd been having a lot of like negative thoughts and energies and trying just to let those go. So it was good.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
It actually sounds like you and I kind of did similar things.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't do a smudging or anything, but I took some time to set up my altar, or kind of clean up my altar, I should say, because I had this whole coffee table that is my altar, and it has kind of been, I need to put a glass somewhere, and it ends up on the altar because I have no space anywhere else. And so I took some time to kind of clean that up, and now it's kind of worked its way back there, so I got to do it again. But I spent some time doing that. And then I decided to do some meditation, which I never meditate. I mean, I have before in the past. It's just not something I do regularly. Yeah, I know I seem like the type that would meditate all the time.
Yeah, meditate and yoga. And
I do yoga sometimes, but I don't really meditate a whole lot. I like to. I just don't. I'm a procrastinator. It's what I do. So I did some meditating, and I think I did some meditating after I did a workout. I think I did some yoga and then some meditating.
Yeah.
So there you go. And then
I was right.
You were right.
Not that I have to be, but
no, it's okay. And I don't know how long I did it for. I don't think it was very long. It was like 8 minutes or something like that. But geez, what did I do? I did something special in the meditating. I should have written it down so I can actually discuss it better. But I kind of worked through various things and imagining myself doing different things, like sitting on the beach or I don't know, being thin and things like that, and just kind of breathing in and picturing something else and breathing in, and and I did the I am that Dr. Wayne Dyer talks about. He talks about I am meditations. I am this, I am that. Whether you are or not, you still. This is I am sitting on a beach.
Yeah.
I am feeling the wind. And this is these are the things that the mantras that you kind of go through as you meditate, and you picture it and you feel it. And so that's because I tried clearing my mind for a little while, but I knew that can't last because my brain's just too overactive. So I moved into that and just tried to stay kind of centered and at peace. And then after that, I did a tarot reading, which actually showed up in the vlog, so some of you guys might have actually seen it. But and I asked about my trip, because at the time I hadn't gone on my trip yet. And I just wanted any general information about my trip and in the coming future, and the cards really came through for me. It was kind of amazing. Like the first card was the goddess Pele, and she's this Hawaiian goddess standing before a volcano, which is really something because at the time I was all things Hawaii. I'd spent the entire day buying Hawaii. Yeah. And just because I like to see the houses and the places. It's a Travel Channel type show, in case you're not familiar. Yeah. But I had that playing, I'm marathoning, and then my exercise, I've been doing yoga, which always takes place on the beach. And then when I wasn't doing yoga, I was doing this, literally hula girl workouts. You learn to hula dance. So it's hula music and stuff. Interesting. So that card really screamed me when I first laid it out there. And then the meaning behind the card is actually about taking a trip. And go on this trip, you've been denying who you are because of a fear of what others might say or think, or letting them dictate your life, and you need to do this. And the rest of the cards, they kind of followed along in that suit, but focusing on different parts of the trip and things like that. And I even misinterpreted one of the cards, and after my trip I realized, okay, this is what I think it was trying to tell me, and I just completely misunderstood it. Yeah. But that was my Beltane. Nice. So I didn't get to do any big rituals or anything like that. I wanted to, but I figured I'll work up to that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
And speaking of, Midsummer is coming up real soon. That's going to be June 21st. Yep. So we could say homework, do something for Midsummer.
Yes. And it doesn't matter. We're not saying, go do some big ritual.
Well, obviously not, because we're not going to.
But take some time. Think about how you fit into the year, how the year is going, because it's midsummer. We're getting almost to the end of, we're getting almost to harvest season, and
I thought you wouldn't be able to tell by outside.
No.
All the rain and the cold.
Well, I mean, like, in the wheel of the year, the earth has come alive, and everything is, unless you're in the southern hemisphere, everything is, like, bursting forth, and, like, things are getting green, and according to the mythology, the god is, at his most powerful, representing the sun, And so, yeah, I don't know. Just think about where you're at. I think I've been meaning to do a candle burning ritual, so
there you go.
I'm thinking of doing it. Almost everything, because I've been reading up on midsummer, and almost everywhere I've been reading says that it's a great time to do magic. So I'm like, ooh, I think I want to.
Oh, speaking of which.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine.
The magic, I've actually been thinking about doing more like just general blessings.
Yeah.
And the idea was spawned by watching the movie Tomorrowland. Yeah. Which is funny. Yeah. But that had a strong message of being positive and focusing your thoughts on positive things. Mm-hmm. And that made me think, why don't I just do... I mean, because I take time to sit and imagine what I want in life. Yeah. And I always figured the next spell I did would be something like for weight loss or something. Mm-hmm. But why don't we just do a general spell for abundance or peace or blessing of the household? Mm-hmm. So I was thinking I might do something like that soon. Yeah.
And mine is for banishment.
There you go.
Getting rid of negative. Mm-hmm. Well, it's for getting rid of a bad habit, which I have some bad habits, but it's mostly like a thought process of mine that's corruptive.
You should try to do the 21-day habit challenge.
I've done it a couple of times with you.
But to break these habits.
Yeah, I should.
Okay, so Charlie, I came across this online. A lot of you guys have probably heard about it. Mm-hmm. It was this popular, like, meme or thing, challenge that people were doing online. Yeah. And when I read what it was, I was kind of mixed feelings, mm-hmm. to be sure. Yeah. So I immediately messaged Nick and said, we should probably talk about this.
We should, because it's
surprising to be sure. So why don't you go ahead and read it?
Okay, this article is from the Mirror in the UK. And we can link to it in the show notes, so people can read it. But I'll read it in full because it's kind of short. So, and I also apologize. It's the first beautiful day, and there are kids playing in the yard outside of the studio. So you will. I know
they're really annoying, aren't they?
We say that because we want a nice, clean podcast.
Well, I say that because I'm not really a fan of children.
Me either. Okay. They're beautiful, From a distance. Unless they're my nieces.
I love my niece most of the time. But she can be a real pickle.
Okay. Anyway, Charlie. Social media craze, subtitled, Social Media Craze Goes Viral as Youngsters Seek Life Advice and Dating Tips from a Ghost Called Charlie. The article reads, a terrifying new Twitter craze has been sparked by claims a simple ritual can be used to summon the spirit of a Mexican demon called Charlie. A Ouija board-inspired game called the Charlie Challenge has surged across social media, prompting vast numbers of youngsters to claim they have successfully communicated with a sombrero-wearing spook. I like the way that sentence sounds.
It's cute.
It is.
Even though it's not a very cute situation.
No. A Twitter storm erupted yesterday after some users claimed an ancient Mexican tradition could be used to request a ghostly visitation. The dubious rite involves placing 2 pencils on a piece of paper in the shape of a cross, before writing the words yes and no inside 4 squares formed by the pencils. Brave or gullible participants must then repeat the words, Charlie, Charlie, are you here? If the pencil moves and points yes, Charlie is in the house, and you can draw upon his demonic experience and ask him for guidance in the form of yes or no questions. Some have asked Charlie for dating tips, others for life advice. A One Direction fan has even asked Charlie which of the hunks should be her husband now that Zayn has left the band. Which I think is weird. Mm-hmm. Whatever you want to ask it, I guess. The Bieber fans also wanted Charlie to tell them when the album is next out, an event which sounds much more horrifying than an encounter with a guacamole-loving ghoul. Several warnings have also been circulating about the challenge, which could go badly wrong for unlucky necromancers. That's a weird word to use.
Yeah, well, this person is clearly not a pagan. They're just trying to be a clever writer.
Yeah.
So they're using their local thesaurus.
Yes, without actually looking into what words actually mean. Mm-hmm. Charlie is a stickler for politeness, it has been claimed. Anyone who contacts him must chant, Charlie, Charlie, can we stop before calling his visit to an end, or risk leaving a portal open for demons to come in and out of your house as they please. Charlie's demonic friends are also interested in contacting the living and are much less charming than our fajita-munching phantom, which is...
It's a little racist.
I was like, that's a little racist.
There's a couple of sentences like that. I'm like, that's a little offensive.
Yes.
But I'm not PC, so whatever. It's not my problem.
Yeah, this is something a journalist said. This is not something we advocate.
Yeah, we did not write this.
No. Some people are coming into contact with demons, one Twitter user wrote. They may seem friendly at first, but have sinister plans. If you do not say goodbye to Charlie, you will experience paranormal situations such as hearing voices, things being moved, shadows, sinister laughing, and more. Mirror Online has already heard the sound of laughter, but it's not as creepy as the teen demon summoners would have us believe. Twitter users are split on whether Charlie is really available for a quick visitation or whether the whole thing is just a silly internet fad.
So there you go. Yeah.
There you go.
But that article refers to him as like a ghost and a spook and things like that, whereas it was my understanding that he's a demon.
Yeah.
Which is very different from a ghost or a spook.
Yes.
Very, very different.
Very
I don't know
different.
why in the world you would ever want to ask a demon for dating advice. It's not like he's going to tell you to do the right thing here.
Yeah.
No, don't go for the good guy. Go for the bad boy over there.
Twitter users are all about the bad boys, apparently. I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
I usually root for the bad boy in most scenarios.
Yeah.
It depends on the bad boy.
There are so many things, I think, wrong with this article, but that's a separate scenario.
That's a different issue, yeah.
But there are so many things that are weird with this whole thing to me. Like, I can understand using Ouija board or spirit boards, and I can understand using a simple yes-no system like this, craze has spawned, just where you have two pencils aligned, whatever. But it just seems like, to me, it reads like some teenager had watched The Ring and got obsessed with like a kid demon, that you shouldn't really be courting to,
Right.
and just spawn this thing. Like, is it the Slim Man? Slender Guy.
Yeah,
Slender
Man.
Guy. Slender Man. Slender Man. It just
don't keep
seems like...
saying his name. Dear Lord, we don't know what will happen.
Well, it just seems like one of those internet fads.
The Slender Man thing was just weird, though. It's like a video game, and then some kids were like, I don't know, they were insane.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't make any sense.
And then you have, like, kids that, like, sacrifice people to Slender Man.
Yeah, that was just, I think... I think those were some special cases.
I agree, but
because
I think...
I think the most experience people would have with that guy is the game, and he doesn't talk.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like a weird internet fad to me. Like, why... I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's definitely a fad, but what prompted this to become a thing where people are calling demons?
Yeah.
And a lot of them seem like they genuinely believe what they're doing, so...
Yeah. I don't know.
And for it to suddenly become big, you would think that some people were having success.
Yeah.
And that they were actually getting the pencils to move and to choose answers and things like that. Because otherwise, if nothing ever happened, why would anybody want to do it?
I like how the people that were saying, "Hey, don't do this," they were saying, "Oh, well, things might move and you might hear voices and something else." And I'm like, "Well, you want the pencils to move, and you kind of want to hear Charlie's voice." So I don't know why you're...
I don't think I would ever want to hear a demon's voice. I think I'd probably piss myself.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, the things that they listed weren't so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, there are reasons that you wouldn't want negative and demonic forces in your house.
Oh, God, no. Why? And that's the thing. Like, everyone is doing this, calling out to, I mean, whether or not you think demons exist, whether or not, you know, I think we can all agree that negative energy exists.
Right.
Why are you calling someone that is traditionally associated with the negative energy into your space?
Right.
Without at least trying to protect yourself a little bit. That's what worries me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think we all fiddle with magic in a young age that we aren't prepared for.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you because you didn't watch The Craft, but like
No.
when I was a kid, I remember going to a slumber party, watching The Craft, and then everybody trying light as a feather, stiff as a board, and just about like any witchcraft thing that they showed in there, and a lot of that's based on real witchcraft stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we all do stupid things when we're younger without realizing that there could be consequences. Mm-hmm. I had a Ouija board really young. I asked my mom for one for Christmas. I thought they were really cool.
Yeah.
And she got it for me, and it was an experience. Yeah. I ended up throwing it away. Yeah. Because it freaked me out so bad.
Aw.
And then, I started hearing things like, if you don't properly
dispose of a Ouija board.
No, you don't. Well, now I'm going to be freaked out about that. But no, if you don't properly send the spirit back or close the door, then they will stay in your house. And the only way to get rid of them is to read like 10 Bible passages. Yeah. And so I started reading the Bible. I started reading the Bible and realized how boring the Bible actually is. Yeah. But things like that. I was like, the last time I used it, like I'd asked if the spirit was evil, and it said it was. And I'm like, nope, into the garbage you go. Yeah. And one of our best board games that we sell at work is the Ouija board. Yeah. So people are buying it and they're using it, and
it's kind of a crappy Ouija board too.
Is it?
It's just like,
I'd imagine it's the basic Ouija board, probably the one I got.
It might be worse. I mean, the planchette is like this terrible, like flimsy plastic.
Oh, mine was a pretty hard plastic.
Yeah, and the magnifier glass isn't glass; it's plastic. The board looks cool, and the planchette looks cool, but I don't think I could ever use it. It just looks so cheap. Well,
when you join witchcraft or paganism or whatever, you're definitely told all the time, spirit calling and that sort of thing. It's a very serious thing. Professionals should do it unless you're serious about it and you take all the precautions. You shouldn't mess with it. Yeah. So now it's I guess it's a little bit unnerving to think of all these people out there that are messing with it and they're not doing what needs to be done. And
yeah, I mean, and I can even appreciate, like, as an adult, knowing what I'm going into, coming into contact with, like, because I mean, as a human, we have darker sides and we have light sides, and I think we need to understand both to be a better person. So as a human going on a spiritual journey, interacting with both sides, if you think there's a dark and light goddess or whatever, dark and light god, talking with both, but you need to be prepared for what you find. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I agree. And it's just like telling a kid not to touch like a hot burner. They're going to touch it anyway. I suppose they have to learn somewhere, but it's just kind of, it just strikes me as odd.
It's definitely odd. And it's why it surprised me. I mean, because challenges and things come up all the time, but this of all things, and it's just out of nowhere. And
it got big enough that a lot of the YouTubers that I watched did like parodies of it. And I was like, really? That just seems weird.
Definitely a little weird. I was like immediately like, oh my God, Nick, you got to see this.
I was just hanging out one night and Lizzie's like, oh my God, we need to talk about this on the podcast. Look, read this article. And I was like, I've been hearing about this, but it's such a weird, I don't know. I don't even know.
Oh, speaking of The Craft, jumping back a little bit, I heard that we were, they're remaking The Craft. And you recently saw it because I made you watch it. Yes. On Halloween.
Because I'd never seen it.
It's like a rite of passage. Like, you have to watch this if you're going to be a pagan.
Apparently.
Have you seen Practical Magic? I've been meaning to ask you that one.
Yes. It was.
Are you sure? Because you seem like you're not really sure if you've seen it. And I made that comment about midnight margaritas and put the lime in the coconut, and you didn't seem to know what I was talking about.
I know what you're talking about, but I saw it like 5 or 6 years ago, and I tried watching it again recently. Maybe I should just watch it with someone else. But
with me.
Okay.
I love that movie so much.
And I love everybody that's a part of it. And I remember really liking the end when they're all like on the house with the umbrellas and you know. So I have seen it. I just don't remember it that well.
Okay, well, that could very easily veer into a whole conversation about witches in media and stuff, which would be a great conversation, but...
I think the funniest part about the News of the Craft is that one of the entertainment resources I follow on Facebook was like, Sony, we bind you from doing all evil. We bind you from, you know,
that's awesome.
What they say, you know, when they dedicate to each other or whatever. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome. I don't think they should redo it which is a weird thing to say because I'm normally not that person. I'm normally like, so what? Let them redo it. Big deal. But in this case, the old one still stands the test of time. You know, it's not really all that outdated.
No.
And it's still really entertaining. And I feel like if they're going to remake it, they're going to gear it to something more horror movie-ish.
Yeah.
And that doesn't interest me at all.
No. And I really appreciated certain parts of it. And I don't know, it's just interesting. But there were so many memes that popped up in my newsfeed when they announced it. But I think that was my favorite.
That's awesome.
Because it was the picture of like the one who eventually goes crazy. Nancy. And like in the middle of their summoning ritual with the lighting in the background with that text. And I was like, that's awesome. Anywho.
Okay, so we're nearing the end of the podcast here, so we should do listener mail.
Listener mail.
Yes.
We got a message from Dan this month. I'm just going to summarize a bit of it for the interest of time. He says that he came across our podcast the other day, and he's catching up on the episodes. He enjoys our organic nature and the coffee table talk. And he enjoys hearing about how people came to paganism, and it's always exciting, and says to keep up the good podcasting. So thank you. And then he has a quick topic for conversation. He says, as he gets older, seems to go faster and faster. In the past 5 or 6 years, he's started to notice it more and more, where days, months, and weeks and months could pass by without notice. And he's done some research, and it turns out that your brain goes into autopilot when you are in a routine with no new experiences. That autopilot mode doesn't record in your brain as strongly as new experiences do, so it feels to him like he's kind of sleeping. And he just said he was doing the same thing day in and day out. His biggest fear was that he was going to wake up 30 or 40 years down the road and realize that he had gotten too old and forgotten to live. So he says he's made a bunch of life changes based on that research that he had done, and that has really helped him. So the first thing he did was he switched to paganism because he was unhappy with his current religion. I think a lot of us, at least listening, can associate with at least a reevaluation of priorities in our spiritual beliefs. And he says, since then, I really feel like I'm looking at the world with new eyes. It feels like coming home. And I'm like, yeah. I think a lot of us could feel like that, you know?
Yeah.
Then he says he also quit his routine job that he's had over 5 years and traded in for a harder and more experienced job. It's amazing how that has helped slow down the clock. I'm counting down each day as opposed to barely noticing each month as it passes by. And I really appreciate that because I've recently changed into a new job that's less routine, and like every day I'm learning something. You know, every day is new and different for me. So I can appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
Then he says he has done a lot of traveling, tried camping, driving to a new city, flying across the country, meeting people, having new adventures, and just trying to take more time with his life, doing different things to try and appreciate and live his life. And then he asks, what do we do to slow down time? Thanks. He says thanks, and yeah. So thank you, Dan. We really appreciate your message.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would agree, definitely. One of the things that I have noticed when doing a daily vlog, for those of you who don't know briefly, daily vlog is where you film your life throughout the day, the things you're doing, you put it into a video, and you put it on YouTube.
Yes.
And you make a video diary every single day.
Yes.
And I've been doing it, I'm in year 2 now of doing this. And one of the things I've noticed is that it has helped me to appreciate the things around me and force me to kind of slow down a little bit. You know, because I'll be like, I'll stop and I'm like, oh my God, that sky. I'll go on for 5 minutes of how beautiful the sky is. And then I'll record it and I'll put music to it. And I end up doing that. I end up paying more attention to the things around me. Instead of just like looking at my feet and walking to the car, I'm lifting up my head and I'm looking at the trees and I'm looking at the sky and I'm noticing things. And I'm taking the time to notice those things.
Yes.
I think that has helped me to slow things down a little bit instead of just going into autopilot. I'm forcing myself to kick out of that autopilot. And I'm not perfect. I mean, I still have days like that, and I think it shows in the vlog when I have days like that.
Yeah.
So I can definitely relate in that area.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things that helps me appreciate the day is to look around, you know, think about things. The other thing that I've been working on, I recently read a book called, I think it's The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and I forget the author, but the basic premise of the book is how to clean up and tidy your life, and it sounds really boring, but it's a really great read, and it's an inexpensive book, and you should totally read it if you feel like your life is cluttered, and you know, anyway, because I've really been like, I have so, especially since the fire, I was like, I have so much stuff, like, I don't need this.
Yeah, when you're forced to move, all of a sudden you realize how much crap you have.
Yeah.
And it starts to feel like you have almost like mud caked onto your hair and it's just holding you down, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And the basic premise of the book and the point she tries to drive home so many times is, well, she succeeds to drive it home, but surround yourself with things that inspire joy in you. And that's, instead of thinking, well, I should have 4 shirts and 4 blouses and 4 dresses and this and this and this, think of, does this shirt inspire joy in me? Does this object of clothing, you know, does this book, does this, you know, etc. And in talking about this or that, the other thing, she talks about appreciating the things that inspire joy in you. And as you take your clothes off every day, thanking them for, you know, it's a very kind of like Eastern, I think, frame of mind.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I like it.
Thanking your pants for keeping you warm, keeping you protected, thanking your shirt.
Maybe just don't do it out loud if there's people around.
I don't care.
Thank you, coat.
Thank you.
All your coworkers are around. You kept me really warm today. Thank you.
You know.
Give it a pet.
I don't know.
I think it's funny.
Yeah, and I think appreciating all the objects in your life and thanking them will help you take time, appreciate what you've got, slow down, you know. Anyway, so yeah, good stuff. All right, everybody, we're back. We had to pause for a second. Anyway.
We should have put in like a commercial break or something. Just for the fun of it.
Commercial break for another pagan podcast or something.
Or something.
Anyway, but like I was saying, just appreciate, for me, that's what has really helped me slow down in my life, is just appreciating what I've got. Appreciating things that inspire joy in me. So. Yeah,
I think that's good. One of the things that I do that's along lines of that, it was really just something that I think Dr. Wayne Dyer had told me to do it. In case you haven't figured it out, I read a lot of his books and listen to a lot of his guru. It focuses a lot on positivity and stuff. But he had talked about finding, like, if you find a penny, pick it up and take time to out loud thank God or whoever for this sign that good fortune and abundance is coming your way. So anytime I come across money on the ground, I pick it up and I take the time to do that. And then I keep that. Even if it's just a penny, I keep it. I put it in my pocket or whatever, and I save it. And if it's like I find a dime, or once I found a $1 bill alongside, or a $5 bill alongside the road, how I saw it, I don't even know. But I grabbed it and I'm like, this is a big sign that big things are coming. So I took time to, really feel appreciative and to say it out loud and that sort of thing. So it's really kind of along the same lines, just, expanding it a little bit further. to be appreciative of all the things that are around you.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, he talked about switching jobs and changing his religion. And,
traveling.
And that stuff I think is important too. If you are not happy in your job, I think you need to take the time to figure out what makes you happy.
Yes.
And if you don't know how to do that, I'm just going to recommend another Dr. Wayne Dyer thing. His book, Inspiration. I read that book years ago, and it helped me to figure out that I should be writing.
Yeah.
Like, I'd been writing for years. I'd been working on books for years. But I always thought, well, the writing's just going to be a side thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe it'll be something, but it'll probably just be something I do on the side. And reading that book helped me to figure out that my life has basically been put together to make me a writer.
Yeah.
And that's what I should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of rearranged my life around that. So if you need a little help, I recommend reading that book.
Yeah.
But definitely take some time to figure out what it is you should be doing. Why are you here in the first place? And how should you be spending your time? What would make you happy and feel fulfilled?
I know. I was talking with one of my coworkers about this last night, that there's a right job for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if, you know, you're experiencing troubles, or you know, you can't remember quite how to do this, that, or the other, maybe you're just not in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And I think when you find the right thing that fits for you, it'll click. There'll be something in your brain.
Yes, definitely. So don't be afraid to make changes and things like that, or just randomly go on a trip like I did.
Yeah, you did.
Even though it just kind of massively failed.
But you had that experience.
I did have that experience. It was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah.
Got stressed out, and I'm like, I need to change because I'm not happy where I'm at, and I'm like, I'm going to go on a trip somewhere, and I'm going to do something, and I basically like drove there and drove back, but I got to see some pretty amazing scenery and do something that was different from the usual.
But you drove somewhere where you had no idea, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. And I definitely think I will remember that trip forever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because of some of the things I got to see. I told my mom that I got so excited about seeing water.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It's not like I haven't seen water before. But like when I got up there to the top of the mitten and I started seeing all these lakes and big bodies of water and these massive yachts and things like that, and I just got so excited.
Yeah.
And it just felt like this amazing feeling, and I'm never going to forget that.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, don't even be afraid to take a trip. It didn't, you know, it doesn't have to cost you a bunch of money. I stayed at a hotel for one night.
Yeah.
So.
Just drove up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Good times.
Yeah. So.
Great stuff.
There you go. Thank you so much, Danny, for writing us.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. If you would like to write us, feel free and email us at twobadpaganspodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to visit our blog at twobadpagans.blogspot.com.
Mm-hmm.
How can people reach you if they would like to?
Well, I'm all over Facebook and Twitter, but if you want to watch the daily vlog that I've mentioned a few times, you can find me on YouTube, Lindsay with an A, and my last name is Mead, M-E-A-D. But I'm on there. I post those daily videos every single day, and yeah, that's pretty much, I'm everywhere.
Yeah. And if you would like links to either of our stuff, feel free and go to our blogspot. We have pages about Lindsay, about Nicholas.
And they include links too, so you can find us anywhere you want.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest way to reach me, if you'd like to, is through our email. Or I think my blog is attached and a couple other things. So.
Yeah, definitely feel free to, you can comment on our blog posts.
Yes.
Or you can send us listener mail through the email. We love listener mail.
Yeah.
And then for Midsummer, since that's coming up, and I gave you guys that homework, if you guys want to share your experiences with that would be pretty awesome too.
Yeah. And it's awesome stuff.
Yes.
We love it, guys.
All right.
So thank you again for tuning in this month.
Thank you.
Blessed be.
Love and light.